I don't think there's much doubt anymore that Solo Leveling is one of the biggest anime around. I mean, having some of the highest rated episodes on Crunchyroll, crashing multiple streaming sites at a time on multiple occasions, and generating tons of internet chat should be a pretty good indication of that. And the anime actually merits that sort of reaction from people because it's been one of the best bits of action and animation in recent memory. If, for some odd reason, you just drifted in from another dimension entirely in which Solo Leveling doesn't exist, this series is about Sung Jin-woo, a young man reborn after a tragically misguided dungeon raid placed him as the sacrificial lamb on the altar to the system. Luckily for him, he was granted the ability to grow stronger so long as he obeyed the occasional command of the all-powerful system that now governed his fate. And winter 2025 has brought us this sequel to the immensely successful first season of the anime. I won't lie and say that Solo Leveling is my new favorite anime. I won't even go so far as to say it's the greatest thing ever and that I think it is absolutely the top anime of all time, because I genuinely believe neither of those things. If you'll suffer me ragging on the series for a bit, I'd like to talk about my thoughts on this anime in full. And please do stick around to the end, because while I do think it's a marvelous piece of entertainment that is genuinely, and I do mean genuinely, a blast to watch, it's hardly the kind of thing I'd call a great work of art. Outside of me, there are a good number of haters out there who despise the series just because it's popular, and there's nothing you can do to change their minds on that. They'll call this series a vapid display of flashing lights that offers nothing to the intellectual elements of the realm. And frankly, I have to agree with that assessment. Solo Leveling is far from some complex, deep, masterfully written series that will stun you with incredible characters, world-building, storytelling, or unexpected twists. In fact, if I myself had to describe the writing of this series, I'd say it's serviceable at best. Genuinely, it is a power fantasy to the core. The story doesn't really give you much in terms of depth outside of Jin-woo's family-centered values that drive him to accrue XP points to level up like he's standing outside of a Minecraft mob grinder. And even the episode where Jin-woo had a touching reunion with his mother after 4 years of her being comatose turned out to be the fandom's most hated episode. Yes, the whole reason for Jin-woo to accrue power in the first place. The whole reason that he was fighting through literal hell and leveling up and working his ass off for 4 years to revive her. Yeah, that was their fandom's most hated episode. Next to the 7.5 from season 1 that was a bullshit recap. But character-wise, that's as much as you'll get. Everything else, every other character, only gains relevance for how they stack up against Jin-woo in a fight. Seriously, Jin-woo's voiceless shadow army has more personality than the wet cardboard that are Korea's roster of S-rank hunters at this point in the anime. The two guild masters that you will become intimately familiar with but never remember the names of exist solely to try and get Jin-woo to join their respective guilds or to brood off in a high-rise office somewhere. Meanwhile, 3 of them are hardly ever seen in the story to my knowledge. The remaining one, Cha Hae-in, is more relevant as the series continues. Much more relevant as the series continues. But right now, she's really only around for the smell fetish / cannon fodder role. Even Jin-woo himself is really just built on flex moments and aura farming, whatever the fuck those 2 words put together is supposed to mean, with his one meaningful element of humanity being better portrayed in the anime than the original source material. So, hats off to you, A1, for actually writing a little bit more of that in. World building, though? Who the fuck cares about that? Story? Just wing it! All we care about is how many people Jin-woo will body in this episode. So yes, it absolutely is vapid, empty, mediocre power fantasy with no actual interesting nor meritorious writing to its name. But you know what? Who the fuck cares? Not everything that appears on screen needs to be some deep character study or carry some powerful message behind it. Sometimes the flashing lights are all you need, and that's not sarcasm. My favorite analogy for all this is food. While I would consider something like Re:Zero Mushoku Tensei a fine, well-balanced, and cultured meal, and while I would consider something like Naruto or Bleach a nice meal at a good family restaurant, Solo Leveling is a Big Mac. You know that there's nothing substantive to it. You know the only reason you're shoving that thing in your face hole is because you're a fat fuck who likes the taste. And you don't care. Because in the moment, it is so damn good. For as much as I can harp on about how the series lacks story and character and subsists entirely on a fandom who's only here for aura moments, I will acknowledge that it is an absolute blast to watch this anime. Fights in this show have lived up to every one of my expectations in this season, especially as Jinwoo now has his shadow army and can instantaneously turn any battlefield into chaos. And that excitement for battle, the furious frenzy of carnage and chaos, is what Solo Leveling thrives on. For all the intellectualism we can spew as we turn our noses up at the normie shonen tard anime, to the point that our asses get jealous of the shit that comes out of our mouths, one thing gets missed. Sometimes the value of a series is in escapism, and that is what Solo Leveling offers. Escapism. It is a distraction to ease your mind of the woes of this world. A lot of people get home after a long day of being productive and just want to relax. It's a very entertaining show that features some incredible works of animation, and we shouldn't sell that element short. It may not be a masterpiece in all of the usual ways that I would hope an anime would be, but it brings something to the table that many anime just can't or don't. The excitement of well-animated and feverish action. Knock it all you want, I may even agree with your points, but you will never change my mind on this singular point. The series has some killer combat sequences that more than merit the high reception the series has experienced up to this point. They are defining the game right now. More people think of animation in terms of Solo Leveling than anything else at the moment. And now a lot of people will continue to rag on this series, and will do so for a number of reasons, including but not limited to petty contrarianism. But we'll all use the same reasons I used here. Fortunately for the series though, Solo Leveling isn't really trying to be some epic tale remembered for the ages for its incredible story. It's a show about a dude punching baddies to death via incredible animation. This is one that genuinely warrants the just turn your brain off and watch kind of mentality, and the way A1 has handled it has actually been fantastic, focusing mostly on the action that the series thrives on, rather than trying to go for some sort of story beat that really wouldn't have worked with the series to begin with. Not everything has to be some kind of edifying experience. It doesn't have to be some wholesome intellectual experience that makes you question your morals or the nature of life or ponder something bigger than yourself. You know, sometimes you just need some funk music and a bomb-ass fight scene to fix your day.